New PTR came out. We don't have the patch notes yet.
Still waiting for the first version, eh?
But 2 changes, I think, were made, right?
Changes to 2 spells, but multiple changes. There could be more. The person I always contact for data mining has not responded yet. Maybe it's on vacation or something. But this is what I was able to find out. It's up on Reddit, WC3. Demon Hunter Immolation is, of course, the hottest topic. And it got changed massively in 3 different categories. The damage has changed, and it was lowered on level 1 compared to PTR 1. And level 2 and 3 were kept the same to what it is now, but buffed compared to the first PTR. Mana cost is now in the middle of the live version and the PTR version, and they introduced a 1 mana cost activation to prevent the spam that we were witnessing on PTR 1.
Yeah. You want me to go first?
Yes, sir.
Mostly good. It certainly seems to me and to many others that the live version of Immolation is doing a bit too much damage at the moment. On level 1, level 2 and 3, not so much the issue. So they're dialing that back. They went to 6.5, which I already thought was too big of a nerf. I feel like 7 is good enough because, it's like a 14% nerf. It's kind of a big deal. Like, you always have to keep it in mind in terms of numericals. And they're pulling it back even more, which worries me. I wonder if this is going to make Immolation not usable anymore. I think on the right map it still will be, but this is hard to gauge for us. We don't have an active PTR. We have to guesstimate here oftentimes. What bothers me the most about this is typical stupid, I'm sorry, but it is stupid, typical game developer need for, what's the word? Simplicity. You look at these numbers and it's 6, 12, 18. It's nice and symmetrical. And that's what game developers like. And I hate that. You have to resist your urge to have it nice. It needs to be the right number, even if it's a weird number. And I think it will be way better with 7, 12, 18 than with 6, 12, 18. Because going from what was 16 DPS to 12 DPS, that's a big nerf.
Yes.
That's a really big nerf.
It's only slightly better than the version on the last patch before Immolation got buffed, where it was 10 DPS, now it's 12. And I'm really not sure why they nerfed the damage even further. In their mind, it's maybe, we buffed the mana cost, so we have to slice something off somewhere else. But this also means, like, Immolation is only working on level 1 currently in the meta because it's so good for creeping. And if you do less damage with Immolation, you automatically take longer for the camp and you automatically take more damage, which automatically leads to moon wells being more depleted or more moon juice being used. And this is exactly what we kind of don't want. We want the sweet spot between not usable and the overpowered Immolation that we have now on level 1. And this is too low of a damage. We did some testing yesterday. I did it and Dondolara as well. It just takes too much time to creep with 6 damage per tick on the Demon Hunter. This is not efficient. And I am very, very worried that we will all go back to Keeper then, because the Demon Hunter is not going to be used that way as it is now. I 100% agree. I want to give you a high five. This level 1 damage needs a buff and not a nerf compared to PTR 1. I think 7 is good. I like the 7 mana cost per second. There was a big issue with 8 mana despite the activation cost being removed. So mana cost, I like. Activation mana cost, I like as well, because that depletes your mana now. But the damage it's just wrong.
Yeah. I imagine on some maps where it's really good, it's still playable. But yeah, this also seems wrong to me. People are also, we have to keep this in mind, whenever there's something strong coming out, at some points it's overtuned, but people are also getting better against it. We already see this on the pro level. And again, going from 16 DPS to 12 DPS, that is huge.
Yeah.
That's massive. That's 25% nerf, dude. That's like, it's too much in my opinion. Something I didn't look too deeply into. What Neo was talking about when, mana cost activation, now 1 mana. The way you could do it before was hold down the Immolation key and would trigger off on all the time, wouldn't cost mana. Now it costs 1 mana. This doesn't actually do more damage, though, than just having it on, right?
No, not anymore. But I think it's still the wrong way to tackle this. I was advocating for a little cooldown on the spell for like a second or so, because you can still spam activate it with the cost of 1 mana, but 1 mana is really not that much. It has a certain effect that it's not exploitable anymore, but I think it's just dumb. Like, this spamming thing shouldn't be a thing. Cooldown would be better. I really wonder why they went with the mana cost of 1 instead of a cooldown of 1 second. It's odd. And I think that's that's also wrong.
I think when you just add a cooldown, it adds in more complexity and you have to twiddle with more numbers. Honestly, like I think it's still kind of weird that when you're at 0 mana, you can just hold the key and every time you get 1 mana, it takes 9 mana to activate, right?
Yeah,
so that's actually fine. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is fine. In terms of mana cost activation, mana cost per second, I think this is all fine. My issue is just it's pretty damn low damage on level 1 now.
Yeah, 100% agree. Blade Master mirror image change. Oh boy, here we go. I had to test this because there's no PTR patch notes. I had to test this by building a Blade Master and send it to AI creeps, open the replay, and check how much experience the opposing hero gets. Thank you, Blizzard.
That's fun at midnight.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for making me work like this at midnight because I can't figure out how to check these values in the editor. So currently, how Blade Master mirror image experience is working is that it scales depending on the level of the actual Blade Master. So if the Blade Master is level 1, you get 12 XP, then level 2 gives 20, 30, 42, and it scales like crazy because, of course, mirror image gets a higher level, so it's not only 1 illusion, but then later 2. So it scales like crazy. So they put a cap on this. Level 1 Blade Master illusion grants 25 XP per illusion, and every other level gives 30 XP per illusion.
Did you test all 10 levels?
Up to 5.
Would be fun if on level 6 it gives 200 XP or something. Yeah, I think this is really good. I think this is perfect, actually. We criticize Blizzard a lot. I think this is perfect. I think when they do damage, and it's not much damage, I realize, but now it's 20%, they do represent some sort of a threat. And maybe there's a weird kind of game where you get level 5 blade, level 3 crit, and level 2 illusions or something, and they do just 20% more damage. So per illusion, 20% more in some kind of weird scenario. Maybe there's a build out there. I hope that there will be, I hope that we will see some illusion plus crit play. Would be cool. In the past, impossible because of all the XP. But I think 30 XP per illusion is fair. I mean, the Treant is 20. Illusions are definitely worth a bit more. Yeah, I like this a lot. I think this makes perfect sense.
I think the values are good. I think having the 5 XP difference from level 1 Blade Master to all the others is a bit weird. So why not just 30 all the way or 25 all the way?
That's strange, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's I guess nitpicking. I would give it 30 all the way, I think. But then, this is not what we worry about. It might be crazy in FFA, but we never balance around FFA. So expect to see some Blade Master mirror image action every Monday night at 8 p.m. at the Back to Warcraft FFA night. We got some comments by people who really dive into the Immolation changes. That is Dondo and Toxie. Dondo also says that there should be a cooldown. So agreeing with me, it's always good. Toxie said they should make it 10 DPS at 4 mana per second. That would... Okay, so lower damage and way less mana usage. What made Immolation usable is the damage per mana efficiency. What made Immolation imba is the sheer damage output.
I mean, damage per mana is a very important factor, certainly. But also, the time in which you can deal damage is also a big deal. So I feel like 10 DPS would be way too low, honestly. Sure, you're more mana efficient, but it also takes you way longer for everything, especially when its biggest strength currently is creeping, where there it's going to be very relevant. So,
yeah, I'm not sure if I agree with Toxie here either. Of course, he's more knowledgeable about Night Elf in general and also crept 100 more spots than I did in my little testing sessions here. But I agree. I like that you feel the burst of level 1 Immolation, and it has an impact and then falls off and on 2 and 3, and you go into different skills. That's kind of fine, but maybe he's right with that. Put it in the comments if you agree with us. Put it in the comments if you agree with Toxie. And I guess that's it. Blizzard, please, before you implement this, change Immolation damage, and then we're fine.
Yeah. And Pally move speed, of course. No, just kidding.
And Tinker Rocket's ultimate damage.
Yeah, all right. I agree. I admit, that was a bit of wild of a suggestion. But yeah, I mean, we're pretty close to being really good. I think the Blade Master mirror image is in a really good spot now. And yeah, Immolation. Again, I would like to point towards the numbers. We are at 16 DPS at the moment. This goes down to 12 DPS. There's a 25% nerf, which in any competitive game, in any scenario, is a massive deal. Unless something is stupidly overpowered. And yet, Immolation is a bit too good. But it's not like every Night Elf with Immolation is winning every time, all the time. You know? Like, it's not astronomical.
Well, it's a lot cheaper, though, as well. Because you have no activation mana cost.
Yeah, that's true. But I think damage per second is a very, very big factor. So if you lower the damage from what is on live 8 now, 8 per tick to 7 per tick, I feel like that's the right way to go. But there's also different views, there's different philosophies here. Well, we'll see what they land on.
Yeah, and then I will sit there at 2 a.m. and dive through the editor for you. Usually, Remo, you close this out with some wild changes. I had an idea yesterday, and I want to hear what you have to think about it. We all know the marketplace. You can get an item that gets rolled there. You can buy it for gold. I thought, what if there's a building that works kind of similar to a marketplace, but you don't get a specific item, but you get a chance of a drop. So it would work pretty much like you kill that creep. You purchase a level 2 item drop, and that can be then claws, circlet, gloves, or ring, which is of course cheaper than the original item, but more expensive than selling an item. It's basically a loot box.
It's kind of fun. We love loot boxes. I guess the question is, how much cheaper is it going to be?
Yeah. But in general, I thought the idea is good, and then we need some number tweaking.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Cool. I see Kiel in chat. Make it work. Make it happen.
If you mean the map maker, he's called Care.
True. I mean, yeah, I have a little bit of a weakness when it comes to RNL.
Understandable.